Remember last week I gave you a video talk about 2 drops that can save the eyesight, right, of the children in the poor country. And this week we talk about these writers for health, right? That's use very common tools we see in Taipei, right? People say it's the most densely populated motorcycles in the world. It's Taipei City. You know, so many motorcycles are there can save people's life. So this one aspect of global health. So transportation is important to save life. In our term, we call it access to health care. You know, you can have hospital there, and you can have a physician here, but the way the kind of a medical care can work, that means when you need some specialist to treat you. Now, one very important thing is you can access to the resource. So we say it's access. It seems easy, but sometimes very difficult. Yeah. You can build roads, right? Then you can reach them. Think about the high mountains in Taiwan. Anyone climb up the high mountains in Taiwan before? Yeah. Sometimes it's very difficult to reach, right? And you have to get there by foot. And a lot of places in Africa now still you need walk to the clinic to see the one term they use is traditional birth assistant. It's quite common, called TVA. You know, you train local people. Majority of them are about 30 to 50 years old lady, and they are in charge of childbirth. But they have to be supervised by professional nurses. And the professional nurses has to be trained by physicians. But the way to make this train works, if you can give them new knowledge, new training, and sometimes surprise new tools, then you need transportation. So physician is needed for global health, but engineers, all kinds of civil engineers, mechanical engineers, you know, are also needed in global health campaign. So I just give you one example of how diverse the global health challenge is. And everybody can work from your background to contribute to the improvement of health of people in different corners of the world. And this is just one example. So nobody has read the paper I gave you? No? Not yet? So probably we have to save it for the next lectures. But still, is this working? I don't know. Okay. And so let's talk about health. What you think yourself is very healthy? Raise your hand. No? Why not? Okay, just less than 10%. Why? Why not? I guess some illness, or you don't feel comfortable? Yeah, why you don't feel healthy?
I think the food that we're eating is not making us healthy.
Really?
Yeah.
Where do you get your food today?
I didn't eat lunch.
You live in dorm, or you live?
Yeah, I live in
You don't like our food here?
I'm Muslim, so I cannot eat the food here.
Oh, Muslim. So what kind of food you cannot eat as a Muslim?
Most of
Pork, right?
Yes, pork.
No pork and no alcohol, right? Very important. So you don't get the pamphlet or where you can buy the food. This
Yeah, I think like vegetarian.
halal food, right? You know they have to go to the halal food restaurants for Muslims. Okay. Yeah, you should come to see me because every year, every semester, I have visitors from Malaysia. So I kind of find a map for our Malaysian visitors to find their hamburgers.
Yeah, in your kitchen.
Yeah, and some of this food. So yeah, it's tough. Sorry for that. We don't have so many Muslims here. Okay, so how about you? What's your definition of health? Why not you raise your hand?
Just sleep very late and eat a lot of junk food.
But you look good. You're not too fat.
Thanks.
So it's very important. You have to have a definition of health. If you don't have this, how can you help people to improve their health? So your concept of health is very important. So the easiest way to define health. Anyone want to say that? Suggestions?
Not being dead.
Yeah, not being dead. Okay, and not being ill, right? Without disease. Right, so I always say, probably health, right? Health is without disease, right? No disease. It's easiest way. So always look at diseases. If somebody got one kind of diseases, it's not healthy. So the global health issues always tackle with the diseases, specific diseases. You know, child diseases, infectious diseases like HIV, TB, we are going to talk about here. And sometimes chronic disease, obesity, that junk food created a global epidemic of obesity. It's everywhere, like in US, you know, in Europe, in Asia, in Taiwan too. You see teenagers obesity. It's kind of disease. Okay. Yep.
I was wondering, does health include mental health as well?
Yes.
Like psychiatric?
Yes. So mental health actually is one of the leading burden of disease in the world. So we sometimes use some of the indicator to measure health. So diseases, right, and death, mortality, we call death and we call mortality, is also a measure of health. And recently, in the past probably 15 years, we call burden of disease. Diseases. So people calculate that mental health, probably the top 2 burden of disease, which include depression. You know that? Depression? Okay. The schizophrenia, you know, all kind of psychological diseases. The reason the burden of disease of this kind of psychological illness is huge is because if you got the disease yourself, there's a lot of family and social burdens to take care of this. So they have some way to calculate, okay? But the most easiest way to measure population health, the health of whole population, like we have 100 people here, we call it population, so we can measure the health for the whole population. If you have 1 million people in a country, the easiest way to measure is how long this group of people will live. So what's the name of the how long people can live? And Life expectancy. So that's the title of my papers, life expectancy. Okay? So we see the life expectancy is on the track of increasing globally because of many factors. Okay? But we still see the gap of life expectancy in wealthy countries, between wealthy countries and less developed countries, is widening too. Okay, so last week we gave you a test. The difference in life expectancy can be 40 years, right? 40 years. I believe nobody in these rooms has reached 40 years old, except the two professors here. Right? So, some people can live 40 years more than other people. So we want to know why it is. If we use life expectancy as indicators, then we want to know why it is. So people thought about all possible explanations. And the term we use for this kind of population health indicator is determinant. We call it determinant. Determinant is kind of a mathematical term, right? There's one people major in math, you know this, right? So it's kind of equations, parameter for equation you put in and you can come up result. So if you this, that would be x1 plus x2, and it could be something like y. Okay, so this is determined. We are thinking about life expectancies. It could be dependent on certain factors. So anyone suggest me what's the most important determinant for longevity? What? Food, right? You have to eat to live, right? Water. Can you survive by water only? Difficult. Water and food, right? So we call it nutrition. You have to have enough nutrition to survive. That's basic. What else? Economic. You have to have money to buy food. So economy. Okay. What else? Literacy. Yeah. Why literacy matters?
You need to know how to eat healthy.
Yeah, you need to have some knowledge of illness, and you can avoid illness, right? You can keep yourself clean. You can have hygiene. All this needs some knowledge. So education is important. You raise your hand.
Medical availability.
Yeah, medical. Once you get disease, you have people to treat you, or you can treat it by yourself. You have medications. So medical care is also important. What else? Policy. What kind of policy? Yeah. Because we people are not live alone. We live in a community, right? And the very fundamental social structures we are living in is a country. And how countries are organized, how communities are formed, will affect, what resource you have and how can you have good care. So it's policy, or we call politics. And this is one important contribution my paper have, is I find out democracy is good for health. So I took 35 years data globally and try to find whether democracy is good for health. And there's a lot of arguments on this democracy. The fundamental idea is if you live in a democratic society, you will treasure human rights and people will be empowered, and you will take care of yourself, and all these kind of ideas that democracy works for longevity. Autocracy is not good. Okay, but it's part policy. Okay. Does everyone here has a health insurance card in Taiwan? Everyone has it, right? Or the foreign students, do you have? Yes, right? You know why you have that? Democracy. You don't believe it, huh? Originally, the national health insurance is supposedly to start it in the year of 2000. The early stage is year 2000. But after the martial law has been lifted, and Taiwan will enter the first presidential elections, and then ruling party, the KMT, tried to win the vote. So they pushed the schedules of national health insurance at least 5 to 6 years ahead. So we are not ready at that time, but we thought because it's for democracy and every life, actually every vote counts, right? Before that, they don't count on vote. You can just, the presidents were selected by a very few people, no more than 500 delegates. But once you want to have a popular vote, then health insurance is a big issue. That's how we got national health insurance. Not by accident, but through this democratic process, because of the claim from this opposition party and both parties like to please people. Only in democratic society, that government will please people every 4 years or every 3 years, right? When they need your vote, right? After that, you are the servant. Right? Anyway, so this is part of public policy. So that's why in my paper I call political and social determinants of life expectancy. Originally, I look at it globally, but reviewer told me that it's better I focus on less developed countries. For more developed countries, the majority of them are democratic countries, so it's not easy to see this trend. And if you don't eat, you will feel hungry, then you lose your energy, and later on, probably you will get sick and you will die very fast. So nutrition have immediate effect on health, right? You eat, you survive. You don't eat, you die. Right? So economic, nutrition have immediate effect. Education. How about education's effects on life?
The education improves people's knowledge about health and medical care.
Yeah.
So even if there's no direct service around the society, people will know how and when they need health care.
Yeah, but my question is the effect come immediately or is it have?
About the sustainability
Mm-hmm.
of the health.
Yeah. Okay. So, why you are coming to NTU? Why? Why do you like to attend the college? Come from such a far away. Yeah. Why?
To study.
To study, then? Job, right? Money? Yeah. But it takes time, right? How long have you been educated? Over 20 years, right? Yeah. So the effects of education has delayed effect, right? It cannot come immediately. You know it. You have to build from primary schools in Taiwan, especially for those coming to NTU. In the primary schools, they have to be ahead of 99%, right? In the high schools, another 99%. Then they come to NTU. So a lot of competition. So it takes almost 22 years to get a degree that you can earn some money. So education on health also should have some delay effect, not immediate. Democracy. My papers show that in the beginning, democracy does not matter too much. But 10 years later, the effects of democracy on life expectancy is big, comparatively big. So it's a treasure of democracy. The reason for that, only in a democratic society, things can be more predictable. Your system cannot be changed by a wild man that's crazy guy, because it's a system to check and balance. So democracy works for human health. That's this paper. So I strongly recommend you go back to read it. And for those who cannot understand too much, and you have to think of dropping out of this course, then coming back next year, okay? Because once in a while we will assign some of this reading for you. And these are some of very basic knowledge of global health. People talk about this in United Nations, in Bill Gates foundations. They are all talking about these kind of things. So Rider for Health. It's about access to health care. So you don't need to be a physician to be involved in global health issues. It takes your creativity, your intuitions, to know about it. Okay? So accessibility, think about it. Very basic needs. We will do some exercise on that. For people from Taiwan, can I know how many vaccinations you have done until now? How many shots you have? You don't know because you were shot without your knowledge, right? Okay. You should have some vaccination for TB, definitely. And you have 3 combinations of diseases, very young, and one very important one is hepatitis B vaccinations. Anyone knows about hepatitis B? It's kind of virus that will infect your livers. It's a national disease in Taiwan before. So many people got it, infected, got sick of it, and died from it until now still. And we've come up with ideas of nationwide vaccination of this one. So it's pioneer in the world. So hepatitis B. Okay? And it's so natural to Taiwanese. If you think of vaccinations, there's always hospital, there's always health clinics, or even doctors or doctors or nurses go to the primary schools to do the vaccinations. So vaccination, you got some kind of vaccine put in the vials, stored in the refrigerators, and because they are live form, so they have to be cool, keep in the cool environment. You took them to the place where people need it. But how can you do that in the environment we just show you? How can you deliver a machine from a place to there?
Would you keep it in like a cooler?
Yeah, coolers. Where to get a cooler? Right? How to make ice? Anybody knows how to make ice? Chill. How to chill water? Energy, right? We have a student from mechanical engineering, right? Raise your hand. How to, right? It's what? Heat transfer, right? It's a theory of heat transfer, right? You take heat from one substance, put into another substance, and cool it. So you have to have energy. What kind of energy we have in Africa? In some parts of Africa, solar and woods, the majority. They don't have electricity. If you don't have electricity, you don't have refrigerators. So you cannot put your machine. How to solve it? How to solve it? Anyone from EE? Raise your hand. Computer science? Yeah, how to solve it? Yeah. Bill Gates say, well, I'm interested in global health. I don't know how to solve it, but anyone who can solve it, I'll give you money. So he established the foundations and give out the money. They call it needleless machine. Okay? The reason you have to refrigerate is the machine need to be cool and put in the vial and you inject. Think about some places, they don't have refrigerators and they don't have way to clean the needle. So you cannot vaccinate the people you want. So Bill Gates come up with this idea of needleless, okay, machine. How to do that? Anyone have an idea how to do that? It's sort of put into the banana. Put machine in the banana. Put machine in the staples people eat. So, biotechnology. Can we engineer the machine into food and they eat? So in the first video I show you, that's vitamin A deficiency. Then you think about way to distribute to the majority of people they need it. This is a global health. Global health has different angles of look at the health of populations from the personal health. See? Kind of crazy, but there's actually money there. Bill Gates said, you give me 3 pages of proposal, and I guarantee me you can do that, and I give you money. Because Bill Gates has decided he is going to give out all the money for 3 courses. One is global health. Second is education. Third is technological gap. So he divided his wealth to 3 portions. The reason he got into this is when he was in the college. He happened to read about population science, that population grows. So after he made a lot of money, and he said, it's time to go back his real interest. Is saving life in the world. Okay, so this is also one of the reasons I started this course. I like to give a chance to encounter something now is foreign to you, and probably you never thought of it when you think about your careers, professional careers in the futures, as business executives, as engineers, as doctors, as financial managers, and this all you dream of, or become writers and journalists. But something probably very meaningful to you is if your actions, your writings, your inventions, the tools you use, the instrument you invented in the futures can save lives. That will be wonderful. So hopefully in the coming lectures, we can give you some of this stimulus, and I also like to get some feedback from you that you will be, some of you in the future will be saving lives somewhere in the world. So this is about the determinant of health. That's we care. Once you think it's very important, you probably will devote a lot of energy now or in the future. Okay? Questions on this? Comments? I thought it's quite. So you never thought about and heard about this story before? That's needleless machine. I thought it's quite common for you. Okay. Any other things? Then probably show you some slides I prepared. Okay, let's do that. How to do that? Click. So this is actually some of the stuff I have. You want to do the survey now or not? Who is going to lead? Okay. 你们要做吗？Yeah. Mahisha, you're leading this or me?
I can read this.
Yeah. Okay.
But you didn't like your
No, it's your time.
Okay, now is the time to exercise your fingers and brain. So let's do a little survey. Okay. Previously we have already come to know everybody, but let's just do a little statistics. So you all have this IRS machine, right? And you know that you can choose from number 1 to number 6 by just simply pressing the numbers. But remember to point this IRS machine against this sensor. Okay. So first question is to tell everybody from what college you are in. Okay.
这样懂吗？ 所以你那个杯子不要写出来就够了，那只要记住2个就够了。慢慢的。
On the buttons, if it remains gray, please try to press again. Okay, here's the result we've got. So we have the highest proportion in the item 5 that goes to engineering, electrical engineering. Okay, great. So I will expect that next time when there are more questions asked to the engineering students, you will raise your hand and answer, okay? This one, which area are you from?
Okay. Central America will be counted as South America or North America?
You decided.
Okay.
Central America.
Our apology. Okay, since we didn't do it, maybe it's up to you. Oh. Okay, next time we'll be careful. Sorry. So we have, of course, most students from Taiwan. And then in other continents, from Asia, North America, and South America. Yeah, we know there are quite a good number of students from Panama, right? Panama or Paraguay? Okay, and we just talked about education. Although it is not your level of education, the education level of your parents will also determine your health. So let's just see the educational level of your father. Next, we will come to mother to ensure gender equality. Okay, so number 4, college. Okay, next, mother's education. Okay, it's also similar. So what it shows, maybe you can guess that the students in this classroom come from a very good background, where your parents come from higher socioeconomic status. It also determines why most of you, all of you are here in this class, right? Do you agree? Okay, and this is the second round. It's not a survey, it's a small quiz, just to review what you have heard and you have seen in the previous 1 hour and in the film. So the determinants of health are actually from 3 environments according to the World Health Organization. These are natural, physical, and social environment. So this question asks you that water supply, as we have discussed, roads, lighting, parks, urban planning, and waste treatment belong to natural environment, physical environment, or social environment. Make your choice. Done? Okay, most of you got them right, but maybe some of you who have chosen number 2 would like to justify. It may not be the correct answer. If anybody who wants to say, no, I think roads belong to social environment, or it doesn't belong to the physical environment, you can also tell us. But anybody wants to tell us why you choose number 2 instead of number 3? Okay. Actually, the answer for this question is number 2, not number 3. Why? Let's come to the next question. Okay. Social environment does not include. So now you can get an idea. If you are not still very familiar with the difference between physical and social environment, you can have a better idea from this question. So number 1 to number 5, only 1 is not part of social environment. The rest of them are called social environments. Physical things are something that are tangible or visible, that we can see or we can touch. And social environments are the things that somehow are not so easy to see, but maybe you can feel it. But sometimes you can also measure it by applying some proxies. So you can think about it. Okay, so this time almost everybody got it right. Genetics is not part of the social environment. And the rest of them, like the family connection, culture, customs, political systems that we talked about, and the market, are all about the social factors. Okay, this question does not have the right answer. It just wants to know your opinion about the individual characteristics and behaviors that involve health. So there are four statements here about tobacco and alcohol. You think they are individuals' free choice, or you think they are necessary under some circumstances, or they are for people of lower social class, or they are products that should be highly regulated. There is no right or wrong answer for this question. We just want to know how you feel about these two products.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yep. So, group, any one of you choose the first one? Yeah. Give yours a comment. Why?
Because I think in today's society,
Can you stand up and let people know who is speaking?
I think in today's society, you can't really, it's kind of like individualistic society, so if you want to do something, you have to ask for someone's opinion.
So, taking up a cigarette to smoke is individual choice. You agree? And who disagrees? Everybody agree? Yep. Secondhand smoking, passive smoking is not free will. Okay? So it's a good argument.
Some sort of art or taste for some people. There are industries that research art forms worldwide. So this.
What do you mean by art form?
I know that because, for example, in Europe, there are a lot of people talking about wine and alcohol in a good way, and examine them in a way that appreciates art. So that's the good side of this.
Yep.
But the bad side, as I mentioned, is the secondhand smoking.
Or if you become an alcoholism. So it's a free choice? It's really free choice?
I think it's a matter of mixing free choice with regulation, because I know of several places that, due to secondhand smoking or the fact that you might annoy other people or disrupt them, there are areas where you can actually go and smoke, which are called like smoking rooms. So that helps for people that make the free choice of smoking to smoke in an area that is regulated. It's just a matter of mixing them up.
Yeah. And how about Muslims in terms of alcohol and smoking? Why? Why is religion
Because it's harmful.
harmful? Yeah. And you first, right? You want?
I think it also depends on what your government's political system is. Like whether my tax dollars are paying for another smoker's health care.
Mm-hmm.
Or whether each person is
Yeah.
for themselves.
Yeah, smoking is related to a lot of bad things. Professor Schenher just the newspaper published two days ago or 2 days ago. Yesterday he has papers with us when he was studying at Harvard, and they look at the data and saw that smoking is related to TB infections, right? So that's smoking will give people bad health, and the society have to take care of the smokers. That's you say. So what's your stance on free choice?
I think it depends on where you live.
Yeah, where you live. Okay, so it's not universal.
I think there's two different first option, you should also consider literacy rates, so that people know how damaging these two products are. And if you don't have high literacy rates, you should take option number 4 to, I don't know, take maybe life expectancy rates and see how products affect that, and taking that information into account, regulate.
Okay. So in our class, we have over 50% think smoking and alcohol drinking is free choice. It's a very interesting result I ever see. Okay. Second, who chose the second one? Can you make some statement? You did? The necessary under some circumstances. Who said that? There are some people who choose this. Anyone in this group? No? How about this group? Yeah.
Just the second one, because modern society is actually some kind of dysfunction for some people, and the stress is really huge for living in such a system. So for this kind of circumstances, people can really find many different ways to express their feelings, and I guess this is very possible.
So cigarettes and alcohol are good for people when they don't feel good, right?
It's possible.
Okay, it's a tools. Okay. Third one, for people of lower social class, who chooses? That's so it's not for people of upper social class. That means, okay. How about the last one? Products that should be highly regulated. It's totally opposite to the first choice, right? Who said that? Anyone want to explain a little bit? No? Yep. Okay. So we have different opinions among us, right? In terms of alcohol and cigarettes. And once people start smoking, it's very difficult to quit. You know that? You know why? Why? What it is addictive in nicotine, right? Do you know the amount of nicotine in cigarettes are different in different brands of cigarettes? You have a light, you have normal, right? Why is it? Taste? Yeah. Tobacco has been and is still the #1 enemy of public health. Okay? So there's a book talk about 100 years struggle between public health and cigarettes. And people dig out tons of literatures and companies document to show all the nicotine has been intentionally manipulated in the cigarettes. Try to get smoker hooked. So from this series, it's not free choice. You are being manipulated by the company. From public health perspective, cigarette smoking is not free choice. This is one. If you look at movies in black and white, have you saw that movie Dead in the 20th centuries? Every movie has smokers. Because all the screenwriters has been instructed or bribed or paid to put in the scenes that smoking is glamorous, is artistic. So you always has smoke whirling around of the actresses, mostly. You thought it's free choice, but when you go to see the movie, think about that time, there's no television, only movies. And you are attending these theaters to watch the movie, and you have been, after the movies, you memorize, oh, I want to be like the actress that's smoking. So is this free choice, or you have been social marketed to make a choice without free will? You do know. Okay? So this is very important global health issues people debate. Okay?
Professor, if you want to point, if you want to stick on this point that every choice we made is affected by the society, there's no free will at all.
Yeah. But there's evidence to show that, especially for cigarette smoking. They even go to Central America, where there's a lot of tobacco leaves are planted, and there has a lot of research going on to know from the beginnings how much nicotine can be grown in the specific species of tobaccos. So there's several movies talk about this in tobacco lawsuit in U.S. They dig out this. So very interesting result of your survey. I just want to point out that it's good. It's a very healthy discussion you have, and we will continue this discussion in the future. Okay, your turn. More?
Two more.
Two more. Okay.
Okay, somebody said that after getting good education, you would like to find a good job, right? In order to get more money. So now, please choose what kind of work that you would like to do. So we roughly divide the type of work by four dimensions, by demand and control. A high demand job means you have to work fast, work hard, you have to do excessive work, and you never get enough time. High control means you have high skill level, you have creativity, you have decision freedom, you have authority over what you do. So choose from one of these four.
One of the, huh?
Yes, one of the four. What type of work you would like after you graduate? Okay, I will give you a few more seconds to think about it. Okay, good.
So what kind of job?
So what kind of job is high control and low demand?
Soldier?
I know why I come to NTU because most of you are very smart, you know. Let's see the distribution in the US. How to go to the next slide? Okay, this is the result of distribution among about 3,000 US males. So if you want high demand, low demand, high control job, you should be natural scientist.
Natural scientist.
Okay, or you can be a repairman, or you can be an architect. Okay.
Programmer.
Health technician, programmer are not bad in this category. Okay, and what is the second highest? Second highest, high demand, high control.
Oh, okay.
That's not bad either, because
Physicians.
electrical engineers are here, bank officers are here, maybe CEOs are here too. Okay, and you see physicians and lawyers are holding jobs of like high control and high demand. Okay, so this is what you would like to do, right?
Low demand.
Okay. What kind of work is better for health? The same choices. Which one is better for health? You may choose a work that you like very much, but you will end up with burning out, right? Okay. Okay. Most of you think that number 2 is the healthiest job, right? Actually, number 1 and number 2 are healthy jobs. So we can see that these number 2 are the jobs of low strength. Okay, that means you will feel at ease, but you still have a lot of work satisfaction. But this one, high demand and low control, have the highest strength. Okay, and this type is called active, like the physicians and lawyers that we know in this category, they are of the active type. And this one is passive, that is low demand, low control, like you are a watchman, you are a guard. Although this is not a very demanding work, you also do not have any control over your work.
So college life at NTU is low demand, low control. Agree? No? High demand, low control. Okay.
Okay. If you can please try to take note of this notion, because in the second class of Professor Zheng Yawen, she will talk more detail about this employment and health. This is just to give you a taste.
Okay. All right. So we got around to show you some of the dimensions of personal health, and I think that's a very good lesson for you in the future when you think about your job and your life. And can you have the best job, best life, which is a balance between work and life. That's eternal questions you are pursuing. You know, that's very important. And hopefully that after Professor Yawen's class, you can make some wise choice in your future. And some of you probably have to switch that's from one department to another department if you want to have a good life in the future, right? Okay, any comments and questions for today's class? If not, I probably not go to detail of this, but I want to show you some this. Can I click this? So trend in life expectancy between 1950 and 2005, and you see the trend. So this slide will be in silver, right? And people can see that, and I will leave you some time to discuss. You have 5 subgroups, and you have to pick up one continent, or you can beat. Okay, people probably like to choose Africa. There's more issues you can discuss among yours. So this is some basic data you will find out from UN's database. See, so starting from 1950s, there's still some country that the life expectancy is lower than 40. It's around 35. Think about it, 35. One persons born in 1950s in some parts of the world can live only 35 years. But already some country has life expectancy 70s. Okay, until now, thanks to God, you know, there's Africa. In Africa, even in Africa, everybody can live over 50 years old, and a lot of country can live up to 80s. So this is just the gaps or the disparity of health around the world. Okay, next. And disparity, you see this? The darker the darker the map, the lower the life expectancy. So geologically, it's unfair. Or we can say that always, starting from the colonial times until now, in the world, people talk about the African problems. Why? We are all human beings, and people in Africa has different futures from us. What will be the best solutions? So probably you can think about some problems and think about solutions. How to make those dark parts become lighter? How to do that? By provide better food, or education, or economic growth, or democracy. Okay, so this is some data for you to start thinking about. Okay, next. So this is some the diagram to show you in this part. This is population health, right? Population health, and all these determines. Think about population size, distribution, urbanization, and the degree of consumptions, and prevailing technology. All this can affect population health. So every job or every business you create in the futures, think about their impact on population health. They are, okay? Very like a computer we use now. So currently there is technology can guide a surgeon to do the surgery in 5,000 kilometers away through this telecommunication. And they can use 3 dimensions GPS to find out the right place for your scissors to cut it. And so technology works if it's necessary. So some of surgery now in Central Park, Taiwan, is now online, coordinated by a surgical center in the suburb of Paris. Okay, so these kind of things are going on in the world. Next. So determinant of health and health inequality. So all we talk about, not just health issues, is health inequality issues. Okay, why people in different countries, or why people in the same country with different social status has such a huge difference in life expectancy. You know, there's over 10 tribes of aboriginals in Taiwan. You know that? And their life expectancy is shorter than the people, the Han people. You know how big it is? Anybody has idea? About 8 to 10. See, we live in such a small island, but the aboriginals live about 8 to 10 years less. That's why is this? One explanation is alcohol. Okay, alcoholism. That's why alcohol consumption is high there, because cultural, social problems. And why is cultural, social problem? Is the Han society is so oppressive, suppressive to them. Okay, so all these issues. Okay, so poverty, poor nutrition status, low education level, income inequality, and poor political systems. There are some important determinants of health. Okay. Next, anything? So this is so-called social determinant of health from UN, WHO. You can check out to the WHO, and there's a very nice document talk about all these social determinants. This is championed by British researchers, Sir Marmont. It's very famous Sir in UK. And he talked about in the inner circle, individual lifestyle factors, right? Then the second one is social community networks, and the last one, larger socio-economic, cultural, and environmental conditions. This is just a framework for you to think about distant cause of health and immediate cause of health. And there's a link. Don't try to disentangle that. That's always interconnected. Some are visible, some are invisible. Okay? And look at this. From housing, healthcare service, water and sanitation, unemployment, right? Living and working condition and work environment, education, agriculture and food productions. So think about health issues we talk about today, right? The work environment in the future you like to choose will affect your health. Okay. Recently, that's iPhone, right? Apple. The biggest producers of apples is Foxconn, right? From Taiwan. They employed over 1 million workers in the world to produce high quality iPhone, iPad. And it has been complaining that workers there has high demand, low control. So the Fair Labor Organization in Washington, D.C. is currently contracted by Apple company to investigate every workplace which manufactures iPhone, iPad. Okay, so because work environment is related to health. So all these things are happening in a global scale now, and in the future they will affect the chain of supplies of many things, including technological products and foods. And ractopamine, right? Recent dispute of this American beef, which is supposedly to be imported to Taiwan probably next month, but through these strong oppositions, and now the Deputy Secretary of Trade from United States canceled his trip to Taiwan, even though he is currently in Hong Kong in terms of protest. So trade and public health through this determinant health is very important. Can we intentionally put something that probably not good for health into the daily meal we eat? Okay, so these are all related to health. Can I have next? All right, this is just a paper I talked before, and you can read by yourself. I encourage you go back to read it. Well, it's time. It's late for this Friday, and TA, would you stay on, and they can decide it, the continent, the group, each of them want to choose. And Professor Shen, are you going to say something about next week? We will have some activity too, right? So Professor Shen will talk about the major of health and infectious disease in coming lectures. Any comments and questions? No? So the class is dismissed.